So I would like to introduce myself as a teacher who has transformed himself into a consultant. And my story may or may not be very inspirational to you, but yes, my story is very amusing. Amusing in a sense that I have done crazy things to develop myself as an individual, as a professional, and I have taken a lot of pain. So today, this guest talk would not be centric to the point what exactly you do to become successful. Rather, I would talk about what exactly you should not do and how you should learn to fail. In the year 2006, I was in Lucknow. I was in the second year of my graduation, and I had practically no idea how the modern world works. And then it was this technology and this tech savvy behavior was not very prominent in Lucknow. I hail from Varanasi, land of holy waters, and right now I'm residing in Lucknow. But in Lucknow in the year 2006, technology was not at its peak as it is now. I was a person who was not very well counseled. I didn't have enough mentors to guide me. Plus, my parents, they have fared very well in their stream of education, but somehow they could not guide me. My father always had haunted me with the fact that if you don't study science, you might be a practical failure. Gradually, I developed interest in English language and I started studying literature at a stretch. And one thing I loved the most is I love talking to people, individuals, cracking conversations, helping them with their homework, helping them with their resume. Practically, I had no exposure of science, technology, engineering then. And one fine day, I stepped into a coaching to realize how this MBA thing works. Then in 2006, MBA was something very in. And I had no idea what MBA is all about, what is the in the full form of MBA. Then somehow I managed to enter this coaching center, and I was looking forward to get myself trained for CAT. And somehow it happened. My stars struck right chord, and this coaching director, he offered me a job. And this happened in Varanasi. He said that you're a person who speaks very well. You're a convent school graduate, and in Varanasi, then it was not very common to have such graduates who speak in English fluently. So he asked me, "Yeah, you are here to prepare for CAT. Would you mind if I offer you a job?" And the answer was yes. So I joined as an associate trainee without having any experience in this coaching center that trains for CAT, GMAT, IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, and GRE. I met a guru. His name is Dr. Dikshit. And for the next 3 years, he trained me for the section of CAT called verbal ability. You know, CAT has three sections. So you all know about verbal ability and reading comprehension, I presume, right? So he trained me for the next 3 years for how to study vocabulary, how to realize the etymology of words. And while I was training the aspirant for CAT, I realized that we stand almost on the same age. I started to enjoy this phase of my life. There was a lot of attention, there was a lot of energy, and I found myself gathered to those people who are trying to seek knowledge. Because at this age, people are so full of dynamism, they try new things. They come to your faculty member, they expect knowledge out of him. And I was just a person who had no idea. I was just trying to dive into knowledge. So for the next 3 years, practically, I studied dictionary. I tried to memorize more than 25,000 words. Today in the dictionary, in the Oxford Dictionary, there are like more than 7 lakh words. As of now, I memorize more than 25,000 words, which is practically 3 to 4% of dictionary. And I thought, and I spoke to myself, what am I doing here? Like, I'm just learning words from dictionary and delivering vocabulary, trying to solve passages, trying to solve parajumbles, trying to solve questions based on critical reasoning. What exactly is my purpose? So I worked there in this coaching center for the next 3 years, and I actually exhausted myself. I was zonked out of energy. Every year, fresh MBA aspirants, they would walk in, to the coaching center, would get education. I help them out, and then they leave. So I also thought of being ambitious. But then CAT was never my cup of tea. I was not very good in maths and quants and DI and LR. But one thing I was good at is I was good in reading passages, solving questions based on verbal ability and English. Plus, I was also very good in making first-hand connections. So networking was something which I was very good at. So my coaching owner, he asked me to go out and travel and meet school owners, college people, and make a very solid network of students so that we also aim at business via admissions. And then I realized I have one more thing, that when I go and meet people, I give my card, I just say hello, I take their contact, I propose what am I here for, and they all like my personality. I realized this is my core skills, my core strength. In a dramatic change of events, what happened is there was a very nice company. There was a company called Educom Solutions Limited. Do you all know its name? It was the first company which ventured into the K-12 segment, the first company to sell smart class to schools, smart classes. So Educom Solutions Limited was the first company in India which ventured into the smart class segment. So there was a person who was invited for a CAT Achievers party, and he joined this company. Somehow I was well networked, so I made a first point contact, and then the moment we had an interaction, uh, over the stage, behind the stage, he offered me that, are you looking for a job? I said, yes, why not? And gradually, just from a coaching center, I hopped into the corporate. And I said, what am I supposed to do? I don't know anything. I just teach here. And he said, you're supposed to go and meet teachers and train them for smart class. I said, okay, I can gradually manage this. Not a big deal for me. So from Varanasi in UP, I traveled across to Gujarat, to Kolkata, to Bihar, to Madhya Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi, and a few territories in South India. And then I realized it's a very different, vast domain of training. My vertical was academic support in Educom Solutions Limited. I was the academic support manager. My job was to travel and teach teachers for how to use smart class effectively and thereby increase the excellence in academics. So I did this job very well because I was good in talking, again, making first hand contact, greeting them with respect and giving them more respect was my forte, I guess. And this company loved me. But the problem was company was not able to pay salary on time. So after 1.5 years, my bank balance was, it was shrinking. Now, after 1.5 years, again, a dramatic turn of events happened. A girl I had taught in the past in the coaching center, she had finished her MBA and she became an HR in the company called Vodafone. Now Vodafone Idea, if you know, right? So this young lady, we were talking, and because I connect my students since last 15 years, I have taught more than 1 lakh students to IT and IIMs. So I can really, I feel pride that yes, my students, they really help me out. And truth to be told, sometimes the guru and the shishya, their positions, they interchange. So I have no shame to accept my student as my guru, because once they become knowledgeable, I can accept knowledge from them. And she said that we have a job for you. Would you like to switch? I said, really? This is core sales, and I'm a person from academic background. I have no idea how core sales work. Telecom. So she said, no, it's pretty aggressive, but I think we actually want a person like you who's good in networking and pushing sales. And then she gave me a term. Have you ever heard about pre-sales? So अब मेरे को पता नहीं what is pre-sales. I had no idea what is pre-sales. Now, when I digged in deep, I realized pre-sales happens to be a position where you go, you build an image about the company, tell them about what we are doing, the great works we have done, and how we can help you in developing values within your organization, and how we can help your bill, how we can help in reducing your bills, the corporate bills, by offering you telecommunication services, by offering you lease line services and the internet services. And I said, I can definitely make a difference here. And I gave an interview in Vodafone. I was selected, and I didn't expect this to happen. It was miraculous again. I was happy. I was enjoying the corporate life. Now, Vodafone then, till date, Vodafone is trying to survive. But then, Vodafone back in the year 2013, Vodafone was a very strong organization with very powerful, like SOPs driven. And these SOPs were totally driven by the HR, very strong HR and sales strategic process. So I was working, the next day I was working with Vodafone after a month. So from telecommunications, I worked there for 2.5 years in this company, and my job was to cater to the national corporate clients. Now, if you hear this term national corporates, I presume there are big clients like SBI, Union Bank of India, government accounts, government SMEs, large SMEs, small SMEs, micro SMEs. So I worked with some national corporates, I worked with some SMEs, and I worked with some MSMEs. So I built some very nice rapport across the banks, across the SEZ industrial area, by just greeting them firsthand, offering them more respect, having a cup of tea with them, and making them laugh, cracking stupid jokes. And that's how I built a very small network of people who are already in the corporate segment. Now, from Vodafone, I shifted to ExxonMobil India Limited. It's a very big company. Dulux Paints, if you have heard of. Have you heard of Dulux Paints? So I hopped on to this next job after 2.5 years, that is Dulux Paints. Now, from a very polished profile, a pre-sales profile, I had moved into a cold sales profile, which is purely into trade. Now, I had no idea how the paint industry works. You see, something which is FMCG, you can consume it. Cream is used, edibles are eaten, but you cannot bathe yourself with paint. Chemical is definitely used somewhere specific. You cannot consume chemicals for no reason. And in telecommunication, then it was an issue of KYC. People were misusing KYC. So telecommunication sales were overly pushed. People were pushing the sales just to consume more incentives. But in the paint industry, it does not work like that. It must have a very solid network of distribution. And distributors are who? Are roadside people who have invested their hard-earned money or their ancestral or their inherited money in a business. These are people with no skills. They lack skills. And I was a person from a polished background, I presume, from a coaching center where I was called Sir. I moved into a domain where I was selling paint. I did not enjoy this job at all. For the next 8 months, I literally screwed my career, and I realized that it's a very bad decision I've taken. All the day I was abusing, using bad language to promote sales, shouting on people every day in day out. I didn't like it much. And then again, I thought it's time to leave. This is not my cup of tea. My boss was very angry because he got me there. And then suddenly I applied for a job, and because the name was so big, Dulux, and my profile was area sales head, the next company I applied, I got a job immediately. In 2014, there was a terrain of startups emerging out of nowhere. So the Ola, the Uber, Oyo Rooms, Byju's, from 11 to 13, these startups, they were growing and they were raising funds. So I thought of working in a startup, and then again, one fine day I had an offer from Oyo Rooms. So I was appointed as the state head of Oyo Rooms for P&L, profit and loss. I had no idea how hospitality works. All I was aware of that how I have to manage a team, how I have to present myself, how I have to look good and present good ideas, and how with this wonderful team I have, I can promote values inside a hotel. But then again, I was wrong. Oyo Room was a fantastic company, but the SOPs they drive are overly, what you can say, way out of the way out of conduct at times, and sometimes out of extreme experiences. So I could not relate myself with the SOPs I was driving there in Oyo Rooms, and again, I was finding that something is unethical, which is not acceptable. So I again took a shift from Oyo Rooms to a wonderful company called Tata Business Services. So Tata Business Services was known as Tata Docomo back then, and this was the last company I worked with. And I was serving this company as senior manager for marketing. My job was to promote the enterprise services. Now, you see, the entire journey I had in the last 9 years, 10 years of my career, where I have moved from a coaching center to a domain where I was working for a telecommunications company as a manager for marketing. And the only job I had was to speak and promote and add values. Then I worked there for a year and I again got bored. I didn't have the kick of my life. Many would say that you're hopping organization, you're hopping industries. Wouldn't that hit your career? And I was always putting my ear into their advices, my friends, my colleagues, my relatives. Meanwhile, I skipped one part. Meanwhile, I was working with these corporates. They were good to offer me a holiday on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday, I was always engaged in teaching. I was going out talking about CAT, promoting language skills, helping them with the GDNPI, helping them writing the SOPs. That is something which kept me alive. Students keep you alive. You are there always full of energy. They keep you happy with their jokes, with the stupid ideas, no matter how stupid they are. It's always interesting to listen to the ideas. So I was working, I was making good money also. And then suddenly this corporate insect inside me died. One fine day, a very interesting event happened. One of my friends, he invited me in the year 2017 to a platform where I was supposed to promote a brand which trains for MCA, BCMC, right? Now, if I tell you all, would you believe me that a person who is from plain humanities background or who's from plain commerce background can also pursue MTech from IIT because there is a test, NIMSET. And people from all the backgrounds, they can write this test specifically because they only give admission to people who are PCs. But there is a category which allows people from all domain to pursue MCA. So I realized this has potential, and he asked me to promote this course to an audience of 150 people, and I did well. The first time I held a mic in my hand, there was a stage, and I was talking to them. I was motivating them to pursue MCA. Gradually, some of them, they came to me and asked me that, would you mind teaching us? We really want some help in our personality development. And then, where is your coaching center exactly? And I had no answer. I was working for coaching centers, I was working for the corporates, and there's a group of students who are asking me, "Where is your coaching center? Sir, can you teach? Do you have a coaching center? Do you have an office? He want to learn from you." And then I had no answer. I was a newly married guy. I came back to my place. I talked to my wife, and she said, "If you believe, if you have enough conviction, we can go ahead with this." Without even thinking for a second, I invested more than 5 to 7 lakhs in a homegrown startup, and I named it as English Acharya. So I had a vision that I will teach students, I will help them develop their language skills, and I will motivate them to excel in life. So from there, I picked on IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, and GRE. And for almost a year, I left my job in Tata and I worked on my idea. I rented a small classroom and I started promoting myself. A few mistakes I did. I was not very successful. I managed the BEP, the break even point, but I made a very bad mistake because I was so full of myself that I know everything and I will be able to dent the universe. And that's where I went wrong. Without even knowing the market, I jumped into the market. Spoken English is something very unique. Even a person who's a class 12 graduate can actually earn money if your English language skills are at their place. So you don't know anything. You don't know computer. You don't know Microsoft Excel. You don't know Office. You know nobody. But you can just write that I teach English and put it outside the gate of your house, and people will start contacting you because tuition is a big market. And I didn't know this thing. I was just focusing on the traditional method. So my method was more of going to school and colleges and promoting myself as a brand. And that's the mistake I made. I actually, my name overshadowed my brand. So I had a name. I was going with my name. I was presenting the idea with my name. And the brand I kept was English Acharya. So Acharya happens to be a master of a subject. It's a Hindu word, Sanskrit word. It means master of a subject. I believe that the idea of the Modi regime, the nationalistic idea, will help my brand grow because the name is English Acharya. But then I failed. I had too much trust in my brand and I was overconfident. And that's where the last nail on the coffin was. So I failed in promoting my coaching. I did not use the modern tools of marketing. Plus, I used only that set of networking which is part of my corporate life. So the corporate life, people, they don't like you actually. If you tell your idea to your colleagues that I'm planning this, do you think it will work? If you share the idea which you have conviction on with your relatives, with your friends, your peers, they would never approve of this. Everybody will say yes, yes, they'll make twice the face. But inside, they're cursing you. So nobody trusts your ideas. So I had the same feeling that my colleagues are not very positive, but I will do it. I'll go ahead, I'll do something. And that's where I actually missed because I had no mentor. And the networking I chose was very wrong. Plus, I believe that with traditional marketing and traditional networking, I'll do it. But I also forgot to add tech support to it. So I had no tech to promote my brand. That's where I failed. And I had no SOPs. I was driving SOPs for the corporate, for the product, which is in the corporate. But for my product, I forgot to add SOPs, standards. And I thought कि coaching खोल लेंगे तो काम चल जाएगा, बच्चे आ जाएंगे. That never happens actually. It never happens. Gradually, after a year, I was out of money. And then again, because I had some name in the market, I had maintained some good relations in the market, another coaching center picks me up on a very good amount of salary, much better salary than I was withdrawing in the last company, Tata. And I was very happy again. The biggest mistake I made was I joined a coaching center, denting on my values and denting on the name I had created. But I believe everything falls into place. There is a plan God has written, and it all comes to a good end. So then I used to regret myself that I started a company, I worked on it for a year, and now my wife is handling it. And to infuse more funds to this startup, I actually had to join another coaching. So the idea is very conflicting. You are running a coaching, you join another coaching to fund your own coaching. It's very conflicting idea. No, but people would laugh at it. But then again, there are different products. So I joined a coaching center which trains for cat. I was withdrawing a very handsome amount of salary from this coaching center, and I was using this fund to run this homegrown startup. For the next 2 years, I was enjoying the salary. I bought second car. I bought land, property. I had a lot of funds in my account, and this startup English Acharya was doing fine. Gradually, we use some tools which are lead generating SOPs, and they help me to generate leads in Gulf countries like Oman, Doha, Qatar, and a few European countries. So there, my team is there, and they train for IELTS, IELTS, and TOEFL as well. So somehow money was flowing in, but I lost interest in my own brand, and I thought that my wife is taking care of this, and things will grow gradually. I said, okay, I've just lost my interest. और salary fix मिल रहा है तो क्यों आदमी इतना pain लेगा? And that was again, I was wrong at that point. Then COVID happened, and COVID again was a life-changing event for me. Before COVID, I was doing fine. I had two sources of earning. One was a mini startup gimmick. Second is my salary, and third is some SOP and content writing thing I had taken. And then COVID happened. After COVID, I realized that the coaching center is offering me half of salary. Salary is halved into two, and salary is delayed. And then I'm out of money. Rent and overheads are killing me every day. Electricity bill is there. And then I realized that it is now time to revamp the way I think. So I was forced to change the mindset. See, people don't change actually. You only change when you have no other option. So I also had no other option. I had to change myself. My wife, she's very nice, a lady. She understands what I believe. We have more than like husband, wife, we are good friends. And we have developed a very nice camaraderie that we think alike. We are two different bodies, but we act like one soul. So I was lucky to have this lady in my life, and she helped me in the development of the startup. We revamped. So I invested. I took loan from a bank, and I invested money again in my startup, English Acharya. And then miracle happened. I never thought of venturing into online classroom program, although I did using Skype and Zoom pre-COVID era. But post-COVID, the moment I spent money, it actually started flowing. So I nearly invested 10,000 rupees on lead generation, and I made 1 lakh rupees out of the 10,000 rupees. So 1 is to 10. So I liked the idea. I said, wow, so only two employees are there. My wife is there. I am there. Apart from this coaching, because everything is shut down, nothing is working, and classes are happening online. So we spent some money, and we realized that the amount of money we're spending, we are getting 10 times the amount. And there are no employees. There is nothing. Just we have to pay for the Wi-Fi and the digital equipment we're using. That's it. So in the next 10 months, May 2020, I started investing, and we began earning from it. So from 15,000 a month, in the next 10 months, I made it to 1.5 lakhs per month. Just two employees. My wife is hunting. She was hunting for leads, and she was converting it to final admissions. And I was talking to students, and utilizing 1 hour or 2 hours of my time, I was able to cater to 40 students across the country from all states, from all cities. And I kept a very nominal fee. I charged around 2,000 rupees to 5,000. The average ticket size of my fee was maximum 3,000 rupees. And COVID, they all wanted to upgrade their skills. So gradually, I discovered a model of exploration. Yes, I'm successful. And for the next 8 months, we didn't look back. We earned a lot of money in this. And I thought that I'm doing good now. So again, I have two models of earning. Meanwhile, when July came, the markets opened. One of my friends who was working in the coaching center, he asked me that you speak so well, why don't you venture into corporate training? I said, no, corporate is a very scary place. I don't want to go back. And he said, no, you should venture into corporate training. Okay, I'll give you a very nice link. So this link was of ICI, Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. So he asked me that the budding CAs, they are heading out for their articleship. Why don't you interact with them and motivate them? Because most of them have lost confidence, and now they cannot qualify the interview. And see, the interview starts with the first question. Tell us something about yourself, like general things, your achievements, your strengths, your weaknesses. And there are many who cannot express themselves without even knowing the fact that they know the answer, but they cannot express. So he introduced me to ICI. In ICI, I taught at least a batch of 1,000 students who were about to leave for the articleship. Now imagine these are students who are about to become CAs, who are almost half CA, and they are going out in the market to complete the articleship. And it was a very interesting experience. Suddenly, the logo of ICI is there. I was entitled to take lecture in the ICI. I was saying, "Wow, what a nice experience!" ICI is offering you coffee, free breakfast, giving you a lot of respect and money. Who can say no to it? So gradually, I developed an interest in training the half CA, and from there, I entered into a lobby of CAs. Somebody recorded a lecture of mine while I was training the CAs for management and research methodology. Somebody recorded a lecture, and they had sent this lecture to top firms of CA in Lucknow. And this top firm of CA in Lucknow, they invited me that can you conduct an employee recreational workshop for our employees, and we'll pay you for that. I said, wow, this is a nice opportunity. And I said, how much would you pay me, by the way? I don't know how much you charge. I had no idea. And they said, we'll pay you 10,000 rupees for 1 hour of session. Now imagine, if you are earning 10,000 rupees for an hour, you just go, you talk, you make them feel good about themselves and the respect and the network. And I couldn't say no to it. From this event was a wonderful event. So I went there. I actually had no idea how recreational program works, how team building workshops are conducted. I had no idea. So I googled, I spoke to a couple of my students from the IIMs and IITs, and I asked them, does your professor conduct such activities? And they gave me an insight. So भर भर के इन्होंने insight दिया कि सर ये कराते हैं हमारे यहाँ, टीम बिल्डिंग के नाम पे आप भी करा सकते हैं. I said okay, well, lovely. So I emulated those activities, I planned those activities, and I jumped onto the CA firms and I did a fantastic workshop on employee engagement. And they liked it. Somehow I was lucky that this work of mine was shot and captured and recorded. And I had a couple of videos to promote my work. When I kept on meeting the people I know in the top CA firms, from one CA firm, I got another offer from another CA firm. So another CA firm invited me for another event. And from there, I entered into the lobby of CII, Confederation of Indian Industries. So CII, this organization, they saw my work. Somebody is talking and things are happening. He's trying to motivate. I had no idea about motivation. I don't know who's Ankur Wariko. I don't know who's Sandeep Maheshwari. I cannot motivate myself. How would I motivate others? But somehow the events happened. I was able to motivate these employees. And one employee, one head, one HOD kept on referring me to different organizations. So in the last 3 years, you won't believe, I have conducted more than 150 plus employee engagement workshops. Meanwhile, somebody asked me that, can you talk about leadership? I said, no, I have led teams in the past, but I'm a very bad leader. He said, okay, but can you talk about leadership? Can you just tell them the values a leader drives? I said, okay, I might try. And then I studied the models of leadership. What is autocratic? What is a friendly way of leading people? And I realized that there are a lot of scope where people, they don't realize they're making small mistakes. So I thought of reading and observing these employees. I met them one to one, and then a lot of organizations, they gave me assignments based on leadership training. From gradually, from a coaching center, I knew sales, I knew training, I knew academics, I knew management, I knew employee engagement, I knew team building activities, and now they're inviting me to talk about leadership. One fine day, a college which is known to me, they saw my work and they said that my students, they want to know more about startups. Meanwhile, I forgot to add one thing, that I love reading books. I love reading books, and so far I have read more than 250 odd books about nature, wildlife. My favorite genre is fiction, and I love Ruskin Bond. And recently, I have developed interest in management books. So management, leadership, I love reading these things, and I take the ideas from books and I create a speech and I deliver it. It's very easy and very convenient for me. So the last thing happened to me is recently this college invited me to take a workshop on entrepreneurial interest and how to develop entrepreneurial abilities. Do you have the ability of an entrepreneur? So now I realize that now I have learned enough. I know how profit and loss works. I have spent this much, I have operated this much, and I have saved this much. I know these things. I'm just a teacher. I can talk about finance, I can talk about marketing. So after having failed so much, I have realized that I actually have knowledge about startup, how startup works. Basically, I might not have the knowledge about how a startup succeeds, but I know how my startup failed. That's the thing I really enjoyed. And you still see that I'm smiling, I still have the same energy. So I kept on meeting people, greeting them, giving them more respect on meeting, sharing my cards, wishing them birthdays on time. And gradually this network grew and grew and grew. So today it has reached to IIM Bodhgaya, this network of mine. So I feel very proud of myself that yes, something which motivates me is just to interact. So the lesson I would draw from this is that I never stopped doing what I love. I still go to coaching center. I still take classes based on CAT. I will be taking the GTPIs very soon. But this has kept me alive. And few skill sets have helped me in gaining excellent networking, very well networked. And lastly, what happened is the final change I'll share with you is recently I was taking a very interesting workshop in Amarojala. Amarojala invited me for a management workshop for the distributors. I went there and a management consultant who was known to me, he questions me, have you ever tried into consulting? I said, no, I have no idea about consulting. Now imagine one fine day somebody walks into me and said, do you know about McKinsey? Do you know about Bain? Do you know about BCG, the Matrix? I said, no, I have heard these terms. My students, they get placed in these companies and they share ideas. So I had a very nice discussion of at least 2 to 3 hours with him, and he convinced me to join his consulting firm, which is a global consulting firm, the largest in the SME consulting in India. And now I have recently accepted their offer, and now I have joined as a principal consultant, as an panel person in this firm on a very handsome package. This has been my journey. Still, I'm learning. Now, see, consulting is a very big term. But then I realized while I was going and meeting people, learning more about brands, it is everything is about people management, text, words, and ideas. सो हम देसी भाषा में उसको बोलेंगे कमीशन. कंसल्टिंग की लाइन में उसको अफिलिएट फी बोलते हैं. The vocabulary has changed. We call them friends. My friend has referred me to a program. In the consulting language, they call them comrades. My corporate colleague, corporate friends. So the vocabulary has changed these days. So I realized there is a lot of scope in this consulting firm where we build brands from scratch. I read about Colgate, the McKinsey case study. I realized how McKinsey consults and how McKinsey builds a brand from literally scratch. And I love transforming these stories and telling to my children and to the people I address for their business. And they love buying stories from me. So gradually in the last 2 months, I realized that I'm also good in storytelling. Storytelling is the next generation marketing tool. And that has helped me reach here. I never realized that I had the skill of storytelling. So that's my story, that where I have transformed myself from a tuition teacher to a principal consultant in one of the biggest firms, global firms, named 3EA. And as of now, I'm just hunting for clients. I meet them. I understand what is their business. Is there something lacking in the SOPs? Is there a problem of HR? Is there a problem of marketing or logistics or supply chain or functional issues? And I know these things now. And even if I don't know, I will know in the coming time, because there are people to help me. They're willing to guide me now. So I practically had known nothing and I still don't know anything, but I will learn everything from scratch. It's a principle of reductionism. You break complex things into simple things and you learn, you consume them. One fine day today, people from IIM, I'm not from IIM. They'll grow fast, but I will grow slow, but I will grow for sure. So this journey of mine says that you should never give up on things which you like actually. You always keep learning and be very recipient to ideas. Be open to people. Be willing to share with them and accept them. And always keep a happy face. Even if you're not happy, you have to look happy. This is what I realized. So keeping a very simple profile, I have managed very well from a tuition teacher to a principal consultant. And I'm very proud of myself. Seriously, I'm very proud of myself. But then again, I realized that I still have a lot of things to learn in my life. Talking about startups, I've been studying about Byju's. I've been studying about all the recent edtechs. In the last few years, I have realized all these startups, they have had the party. They have had a ball. And this ball has come to an end. The party is over now. If you realize pre-COVID era, everybody's creating an idea, they're working on the idea, they're trying to raise funds, and nobody has thought about sustainability, scalability. Nobody spoke about these terms. Now you see, now these companies are focusing more on those startups only which are sustainable and they are scalable. The companies like SoftBank, if you read more about them, I have read an article where now they're only funding those startups which are actually planning to become sustainable and scalable. Plus, every idea has to be examined and there has to be a feasibility study behind the idea. My startup failed because I didn't have a proper vision, which I have now, and the things have changed. My startup might have failed, but I have become a hit. The only thing I lacked was my startup didn't have a sustainable model. You cannot become an overnight popular teacher or a businessman just by teaching spoken English or a personality development course. And you don't have to utilize a lot of funds in marketing. These things work with time. I didn't have time enough. I was in a hurry. Plus, I did not have tools enough to study the feasibility of my startup. And I was not focusing on the problem statement or the value addition. You see, even Shark Tank is always telling you about what values you have added to your startup. And I had no value. My only core value was to earn money. And that's why I failed. So in the last 15 years, I realized all those startups who have not focused on values, problem statements, they have failed. And if you're not focusing on value, today you might be feasible, today you might be scalable, in the longer run you'll fail. Because then things come to the fore and you cannot hide things for a very long time. A perfect example is Byju's. So that's the journey of the last 15 years. And I guess I have spoken enough. And any questions you want to ask about me or my life, and I'm still learning, by the way. I don't have enough to share. That's all my profile is all about. Nothing more, nothing less. Any questions you want to ask? This is very funny story. I realize my story is very funny. If I ask my friend these days, you know what they call me? They call me Sasta Ankur Wariku. So he goes to the corporate and he talks and he makes people laugh. What does he do? I write articles, they make fun of it. Now I enjoy it. You want to make fun of it? Okay, I like it. And as Swami Vivekananda says, he says that you should talk to yourself every day at least for 30 minutes. Otherwise, you will miss the chance of talking to an intelligent person. So we all are intelligent within. And भारत को अगर विश्व गुरु बनना है तो सबको ही समझना बहुत जरूरी है. Every individual is here to add values to his or her life. And I'm still doing that. कुछ नहीं आता है तो उठा के गूगल से पढ़ लूंगा. What is best than that? So many students have gone to IIMs. I have taught them in the past. I just have to find the right contact. Hi, how are you? Somebody has invited me for a workshop. I don't know what is logistics all about and how tactical marketing strategy and strategic marketing strategy works in the corporate. Can you guide me? And then he or she will say, okay, sir, let me open my laptop. And then the knowledge is there within seconds. And knowledge coming from people is the best form of knowledge. Rather getting it from the books, I prefer to talk to people. And there is a new term in corporate terminology called consulting, strategic intent. Suddenly this term pops onto my screen. ऐसे ये होता क्या है? अब गूगल में चेक करेंगे तो टाइम स्पेंड होगा. कहीं कहीं पे इंग्लिश नहीं समझ में आ रही है तो हिंदी में करना पड़ेगा. अब नहीं समझ में आ रहा था. Now what should I do? One of my students is working with BCG. I gave him a call, and thankfully I have maintained my respect and my gravity that students receive my phone. I don't haunt them with my questions, so they receive my phone and they tell me, sir, strategic intent means this. And the job is done. You work in a consulting firm. How does it matter? You are a nobody. And if you don't know anything, it's an opportunity. Learn. Prepare yourself. Embrace. Eventually, even if you fail in a meeting, what will happen? You realize that ठीक है यहाँ fail हुए इसलिए fail हुए. So my point is observation should be very strong. My observation has been very good since the day I joined this corporate stuff. So observation has to be good. Keep working on the skill set which you like. Keep working on your passion. And I think never give up on things which you like. Go out, meet people, explore new things. You don't know. People who have not done MBAs, they have become masters of a language like A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, the exams they conduct. And just by learning a language, mastering a language, you can make more money than the MBAs outside by interpreting, by translating languages. The world should not be obsessed about only one particular idea. MBA is not the end of life. There are many skills you can develop and explore, and these things will come to you automatically. One fine day, you will sit somewhere in the room, you'll say, "कुछ आ नहीं रहा है, एक बार check करते हैं." Maybe if your luck is good, you will strike the right chord. And that's all about I have to say. I forgot to add one thing. Yes, I meanwhile, a year back, when second round of COVID came, I raised some funds for my startup. अभी फंड रेस की बात भी कर लेते हैं यहाँ पर लगे हाथ. अब फंड रेस के बारे में मुझे कोई नॉलेज नहीं है, फंड कैसे रेस करते हैं. अब आई टॉक टू माय स्टूडेंट्स, तो दे टॉक वेरी बिग टर्मिनोलॉजी. सब फंड रेजिंग में स्टार्टअप के एसओपीस ग्रिड होना चाहिए, ये ह्यूमन ड्रिवन मैट्रिक्स होना चाहिए फंड रेस होने में. कहीं तो समझ में पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो व्हाट डज मीन. तो व्हाट शुड आई डू नाउ? आई एक्चुअली वांट टू रेज फंड्स. मुझे क्या करना चाहिए? आई शुड एक्चुअली मीट इन्वेस्टर्स. Now in Lucknow, and I come from UP, and in UP, you know, everybody is somebody, if you know. So I thought of ideating that मुझे पैसा कहाँ से मिलेगा, मुझे पैसा कौन देगा मेरे स्टार्टअप के लिए. मैं स्पोकन इंग्लिश का एक ब्रांड रन कर रहा हूँ, उसकी कोई वैल्यू भी नहीं है, इसे कोई जानता भी नहीं है, और मेरे नाम से जानते हैं कि मैं एक ब्रांड रन करता हूँ. हु विल पे मनी फॉर मी? So one of my friends said, "I want to meet people who are very powerful in their political background. Meet them. They might have a chance to transform black into white." I said, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'll go ahead." And then one fine day, I found myself drawing a business plan. Now, how a business plan works, I don't know. But then I had taught CAs in ICI. They help me chalk out the segment of how you exactly you project a business plan. So there is an idea, there's a vision, there is a mission. Now how much money you want, how much operational cost is there, how much you're willing to save, what is your fixed cost, what is your recurring cost. सब पता किया मैंने. I had no idea about how finance works. And then I thought of presenting this idea to my investors, and I met 7 investors. They literally depressed me with their questions. Now, a person who's very powerful in terms of political background may not know you very well. They don't know education. They are politicians. And I'm sorry, but politicians have zero idea about education these days. All they know how to use the mic and just instigate on the grounds of religion. But I'm sorry, but politicians, majority of them, they have no idea what I'm trying to sell. So I realized that I have to transform my abilities again. I need to build trust inside the politician or the investor who's doing. And they'll ask me questions. How is your startup sustainable? And how will you give me profit? And after having met at least 7 to 8 investors, I was depressed. One fine day, I got a call that we want to invest. And the first hand check I got was of 25 lakh rupees. And I was very happy that I suddenly raised funds. What exactly is fundraising? Fundraising is a process where you build trust in a person who has a lot of money but no trust. And I went there, I pitched the idea to him, and I showed him that how I can earn money. And my balance sheet was very clear. Because I had earned money in the past, they trusted my balance sheet and they trusted my gut. But then too, I knew nothing. So a year we worked on this money. I thought of making more money out of money by diversifying my portfolio from education to stock and marketing. Now, only investing all the money in my academics won't help me earn money faster. So I hired a person who was very good in multiplying money via stock and Bitcoin. Up again, now I had no idea how Bitcoin works, how stock and market works. I had no idea, but I had a CA who was good in generating money from money. He said, "Invest some amount and I will give you sure returns, monthly returns." And then I trusted this person blindly, and now you're doing faring well. So see, there's a limitless, the learning is limitless. You can venture yourself into learning limitlessly. And earlier I had this misconception, I had this mindset कि मुझे इतना आता है मैं इतना ही सीखूंगा. Now I have changed this mindset. मुझे जो मिलता है मैं उसके बारे में सीख लूंगा. Today I am about to take a session on blockchain, talking about decentralization and centralization of the digital currency. I have to talk about these things. I'm studying about these models now, how blockchain works. I'm about to give an idea to a company who wants to build a social media based on blockchain. And I'm about to raise funds for them. I have no idea how blockchain works, but I will learn with them because they're experts. They'll teach me, they'll give me the basic lingo how blockchain works, what exactly, and that too in layman language where I also understand. And once I understand, I'm the powerful person. I'm the Po of Kung Fu Panda. I'm very powerful now. I'm the Dragon Warrior. But yes, if I get stuck somewhere, the person is there, he will answer the question. So that's how I realized that my personality suits to the occasion and suits to product. I'm good in pitching, I'm good in training, I'm good in sales, I'm good in expressing myself among any audience. And now I'm free. What haunts me is that sometimes there is a fear of embarrassment. Sometimes I might misquote or I might tell you something which is not correct. But then again, even if it is, you'll get the feedback, and you should be open to feedback. Who doesn't make mistakes? That has been my journey so far. I'm a teacher who has transformed himself into a principal consultant, and I am still learning. This is the bottom line. Any questions you want to ask?
So, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm just surprised and appalled by your story. Like, it's all full of
Seriously,
twists and
I thought you
turns.
laugh at my story. I thought you laugh. You're surprised and appalled. Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
because and it's great to hear that you're now working in a consulting firm. Like many of us that are pursuing MBA wish to have a consulting role in the future, and so it is good to know that for consulting, it's your expertise is more important. And from your story, I feel that it has not been the same with you. So, do you think that we should still pursue an expertise in one particular field, or do you think it will be better for us to diversify us?
So when I asked my HR, see, I about to write on my LinkedIn, what should I write? So like, you have given me consultant, and the domain is functional. I said, what do I write? And she said that you are mostly a principal consultant who handles almost everything. Now, see, it depends from person to person. Like, in our consulting firm, I'm mostly into development of brands, addressing the grievances, and then I shift their headache to the delivery part once I take money from them. All right. Now, there are various fields of consulting. It depends on what is your interest. For example, somebody likes to stay in brand and management consulting. Do you have that skill? Like, I meet people, I get them bowled off in the first meeting. This is my skill. I have to give some facts, tell some stories about their brands which they don't know. This is my interest. So this is my domain that I'm good in, pre-sales, and it's functional basically in consulting, and I'm enjoying it. If you ask me that you go and take up a assignment, a project where it is financial consulting, so I might be the wrong choice for that. So it depends on what exactly you're inclined towards. What is the inclination towards? So the kind of interest you have, the kind of relationship you have with your psyche, and you realize this is my forte. That is the perfect thing. That is the perfect thing you should do. And diversification is just a technical term. You gradually fall into the place where you belong to. So I believe that I have developed an expertise, and my expertise is mostly pre-sales, meeting clients, networking, and acquisition. तो ये मेरा skill है, इसलिए I'm fit here. If you ship me to finance, I'll fail there. I don't know how finance works. I might refer a startup. I can raise funds for a startup if I know how their finance works or what exactly their intent is. But truly, consulting into finance would be a wrong choice for me because I am mostly a guy from Marcom. You get the point? So it depends. It's very subjective. What exactly you do like? Somebody from IIM Calcutta would definitely go into the fintech development model because that suits them. They have done the MBA in finance and they know how finance works. Then they can advise. They can join the advisory panel of a top class CA firm and advise them like McKinsey because their forte is, so it depends on the forte, on the inclination, and then diversification automatically happens to you. You don't have to tell that this is my only field, the field I want to join. You don't have an option. You develop your own inclination. What are you inclined towards? And you'll gradually find it one day that yes, I think I am made for this thing. You keep finding the interest.
Okay,
And do not go
thank you,
by
sir.
what LinkedIn says. Do not go by what YouTube says, Twitter says. There are a lot of stories. And trust me, these stories on LinkedIn and YouTube, they're all not true. Trust me, they're not true. Because on LinkedIn, they only share their good experiences. Apart from some missed experiences, they share only good experiences. I've got an award, this is my achievement, I've got a promotion, I've joined this firm. So you look at the good picture. But they don't share the true picture because that's very embarrassing. The real story of corporate is very embarrassing. Who will share that? अब imagine मैं अभी बॉस से गाली खा के आया हूँ, तो will I share this on LinkedIn? कोई करेगा शेयर इसको? Nobody will share this. That's the reality. So do not go by what LinkedIn says, diversification, gender neutrality. These are terms and let them be terms. You go by what your experience is. Don't copy anything. Read social media, venture into it, learn from it, observe it, follow trend, but don't become a bandwagon. You should not carry the bandwagon effect. You are the master of your own experiences, what I believe. So diversification is just a term. Now imagine, had you had not known this term diversification, would you ever question this? No. Your brain would be free. I don't know what is diversification. I don't know about these things. So just go with the flow, venture into your skill set, and find what you are good at and what domain suits you. All right. Yes, the N Tejas has raised.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very nice session. So I was more curious on, I mean, you did work in a lot of companies. So I'm quite curious on what kind of culture did you like, considering which culture did you like the most? That would be my first question. Out of all the companies you work for, you work for Oyo, Tata, you also work for Vodafone. So which culture did you like the best? And of all the companies, what is the main thing that you like in all the companies? What main culture? Uh, do you like most in companies, and what kind of culture do you think startup owners should be inculcating uh, in their startups?
The best company I worked was Tata's. Like nothing can be better than that. Master of ethics. Yes, few a few ventures of Tata, they went out of the way and like, issues are always there. But if you ask me about the culture, I think Tata has the best culture. You respect your employees, you treat them with respect. Every communication happens on mail, it is crystal clear. Nothing is hidden from you. The HR is very cooperative, and their COC, the code of conduct, policies are very strong, very, very strong. You cannot compare a Tom, Dick, Harry startup with Tata. That's not possible. If you ask me to compare Tata with Byju's, like, what are you talking? Are you serious? Like, no, it's a very powerful company with very, very, very strong policies and SOPs. Like, I am just amazed the way they treat employees. I had a lovely job. I could have continued, but then I must have, I would have done a very bad job in Tata. That's why I left, because if I would have stayed there half-heartedly, so I would have done bad jobs. And see, right now the glow on my face and the energy is still same. So Tata is a very good organization, like Tata Communications, TCS, all my students. And it also depends on what role you are joining. Sometimes the entry level roles are very tough. Somebody was done BTech and joined as a junior analyst. So definitely at the entry level it is very challenging. But then again, it is transformable. It is transformational, and you learn. Tata has very strong sense of ethics, code of conduct, policies, and yes, the HR is very powerful. Talking about startups, Oyo rooms. So you know why I'm laughing. I should not tell you why I'm laughing, but people can sense. See, startups, they are startups, and then there are lacunas. There are some policies which are not in place. And in startups, there are things which you don't know what you have to do. The worst thing, I was asked to join one location. My offer letter says you have to join this location, location X. And then when I join the location, my boss says, no, 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 this is not your location. Your location is something else. And I said, how is it possible in the offer letter you say this and say welcome to startup world? That's how it works here. So I had no option. क्या करें अब नौकरी तो ले लिया है वहां रिजाइन कर दिया क्या करोगे अब तो ये अच्छा पॉलिसी नहीं है ना इट्स वेरी बैड पॉलिसी and I believe culture in Educom was very nice. There, the KRA, the KPIs were amazing. But then again, the company is not able to pay you. You will also lose respect for your employees. Only best relationship, the best motivation comes out of a motivational seminar. Of course, not. The salary is the best motivation. Your account gets created every month. At the end, you get a message. Your account is created. That is the best message. That is the only sole reason to work with a company. And if you read this book, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, it'll tell you that strong businesses, the only idea is to start a business is to make money. If you're not making money, तेरा औकात नहीं है बंद कर दे business को. You don't deserve it, boss. So I think there are startups which make policy only driven by sales, but they hide their HR. So I will not name them, but I have worked with startups, so you can tell that this is talking about. I'm inferring the same startup I have worked with. So there are startup policies who frame their sales policies, the matrices, very very powerfully. They put a lot of thought into their policies, which are only driven by sales. And The HR part is very bad. So employee harassment, sexual harassment, pressure, undue pressure, unexpected realities of sales and targets matching up the expectation is very difficult. And organizations like Tata, they have very powerful HR and they have very powerful sales team. Because they have powerful HR, they have powerful sales team. And their HR and sales are not linked together because they want to keep their policies separate. So I believe the culture is established better in those organizations which have very powerful domain and they're not interconnected. And when it comes to policies, they are different. Sales has different policy, HR has different policy, and because HR is strong, sales, marketing, finance is strong. And you don't build a startup, it's like first you create a product and then you start selling it. No, startups which have always focused on what is the value, they respect their employees. One who is blindly hiring people and blindly hiring HR to hire other people, the startup is not giving you value. So culture is very questionable a term. I don't think you can talk about culture in a startup which is totally driven by product sales. That's the answer, is what I believe.
Okay, so I think we're short on time, so we'll be taking one last question.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for
No,
coming and interacting with us.
thank you.
Sir, you said that Tata is a very ethical company. I just want to ask, why is it that there are other companies lacking ethics? Why is it that other companies are not able to implement this properly? Like, I think this is like a very basic thing, you know.
Are you
When
asking the
I
question
hear
or
about
you're
ethics,
answering
I
the
feel
question?
like,
Are you asking the
no,
question or
no,
answering?
I'm just asking you. I'm asking, sir, asking.
Okay, so you're asking that companies why do they fall behind on ethics? See, the answer lies in your question, and they fall behind in ethics because they don't want to be ethical. I think sometimes your focus is only on making money, and I have seen people who are what do you call them? The parvenus. Parvenus are in its English word, it means people who have newly acquired wealth. So they have acquired wealth, but they have not been able to acquire social etiquettes, the manners, the basics. So people, I believe, who have acquired wealth very fast, they won't know how this money is generated. If you realize कैपिटल, ये मैं फाइनेंस का ज्ञान दे रहा हूँ, मैंने कहीं किसी बुक में पढ़ा था, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता है फाइनेंस के बारे में, ना इकोनॉमिक्स के बारे में पता है. कैपिटल इज लेबर एंड लेबर इज कैपिटल. Today, if I start a company with some capital, it is some labor done in the past. Do you believe this? For somebody who has not seen this labor, somebody who has acquired wealth by some ideation or some inherited way, would never respect money which comes out of money. And then that's the point where the capitalistic agenda hits. The only focus is to earn money by molesting people. And then once you have earned money, you figure out another way to earn more money by again molesting people. And who gets in the mess? People who are the working class, the white and the blue collar people. So I believe ethics and unethics, ethical and unethical, very thin line between that. Like, what exactly is your intent when you start a company? What exactly is your interest? So I would recommend you all to watch a very nice movie. This movie inspires me. Movie is Rocket Singh. कभी देखी है आप लोगों ने?
Yes, sir.
देखी है. तो रॉकेट सिंह में बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग डायलॉग है. वो डायलॉग मैं आपके लिए सुनाता हूँ. इस डायलॉग पे आप फोकस करना और समझ जाओगे कि कंपनी लोग क्यों बनाते हैं. तो ही सेज कि जो कंपनी मैं तुमको दे रहा हूँ वो खैरात में नहीं मिलती. कंपनी तब बनती है कब बनती है. तो ही सेज दैट जब एक दफ्तर का जो टेबल एक जब बेड टेबल बन जाता है, भूख प्यास सब रुल जाती है, बाल बच्चे सब रुल जाते हैं और खून पसीना एक होके कागज पे छपता है, तब जाके साली एक कंपनी बनती है. This is the exact idea why people start companies. Some people, they realize that there is an idea, and I believe this idea can add value to people's and their life. It can make things easy. For this, they accumulate wealth, and their intent is very pure. Now, suddenly, with this intent, if you acquire a lot of wealth, you acquire wealth into 10x, you were expecting 2x, you go 10x. Somehow things they go faster. And to go faster, people they take shortcuts, I guess. In the case of Oyo rooms, I have seen, in case of Byju's, I have seen a lot of people taking shortcuts. And it might have tasted success in the initial stages. Then it might sound very ethical, like somebody is coming on this video format and making maths looking very easy for you. But then again, the longer run, their core focus from academia shifted to only money making. So the intent changed. With a lot of money comes a lot of unethical things. Just like Spider-Man, you jump, you take a risk, but then again, a lot of power comes great responsibility. But in this case, if you have a lot of money coming to you immediately, in a very short time, people definitely start building a lot of trust inside, and they take ways how we can multiply wealth. And like more money, lure of lucre, India's nemesis. You know what these things? I don't have to tell you these things. Why people cross the line? Why do they cross the line? They cross the line because they believe that they can actually touch and dent the universe, and this kick inside this motivation is very dangerous. So I think all the startups are focusing on quick money are they have failed to realize the value they have been driving. And once you have shifted the focus on money and not value, I think that's the moment you become unethical, and you overlook your employees, their health, their concern, their grievance, and you only focus on productivity. And it also depends what kind of product you are driving. For example, it is very easy to curse Elon Musk, but it's not very easy to be Elon Musk. हम लोग यहाँ से बैठ के अब कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं, ट्विटर खरीदा, ऐसा कर रहा है. People presume they are like already owner of any startup when they talk about Elon Musk, but you don't know it's his driving seat. He's driving the force. You have no idea about what he's doing. You can just estimate looking at the videos, and this is all paid media. This is all driven media. Don't trust blindly on this. So it also depends on what kind of person you are, what is your intent, what do you want to give back to the society and your product. All these things they combine together to add values. And if your focus is value, today or tomorrow you will be a hit. Levi's का एक बहुत अच्छा tagline है. I'll quote tagline here. And they write it on the very old campaign. Quality never goes out of fashion. Quality never goes out of fashion. So if your startup is adding quality, adding values, it will never go out of fashion. Have you ever heard HUL facing problems in their sales? Have you ever heard Palmolive and Colgate having problem in their sales? No, because their employees are very powerful. Have you ever heard Virgin Telecommunication, the Virgin organization? Have you ever heard that employee is facing any problem? No, because they have added values. Even the fact that COVID has hit them very badly, they're losing fund and revenues. Still, they know how they will drive value in the time of crisis. So that will not let them cross the line. They'll still be ethical. Despite the fact I was working with Tata, Tata was in tremendous loss. But at the time, Tata was bleeding very badly. They give me a job because they believe this employee who's coming in will add values. That's how you add value. You add value, you are always ethical. Once your focus shifts from values, you become unethical. This is what I believe.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, for giving us your precious time on this Saturday evening
Thank you so
and
much.
sharing such wonderful insights and details about your journey. And I would also like to thank the audience for being patient. And sir talked about his journey from being a cat aspirant just like us to venturing into the domain of being an educator and then domain of marketing and now being a
Yeah, please.
consultant, having his own startup. And I'm sure the student had a lot to learn. And in case they have more queries, we will be sharing your LinkedIn so that we can stay connected.
Thank you
And
so
we
much.
would love to host you in the future events as well.
Thank you so much. And I don't know if I have added any value for the day or not, but I really enjoyed talking here. Talking is I enjoy. Even if you don't enjoy, I still enjoy my talking. So that this is how I am. So thank you very much for having me here, and I'm very humbled, very honored. And I hope to see you guys again. Thank you very much.